So, is it possible that if you are not possessing the Spirit of God, or you don't have the Holy Spirit inside of you, is it very possible that you can have an evil, demonic spirit possess you? Because based on that story, do you think that those 7 unclean spirits came up to that person and knocked on his door? Can I come in? No. So if you're not on God's side, it's very possible that you could be on Satan's side. And what he's saying is, you do what you say by possession. So if you possess the Spirit of God or you possess the Spirit of Satan. Now I'm going to take you through a little bit of movie history. Back in the 1920s, there was a guy named Rudolph Valentino. This man was so incredibly famous. This was the Brad Pitt of the day. Okay? He was just hugely worshipped by women, by everybody. All guys wanted to be him. All women wanted to be with this guy. And his movies were all about passion, and he just would make out with the girls all the time. And it was said that wherever this guy went, he would draw crowds so large that they actually had to have police corral around him. And where he got his inspiration from is from his wife, Natasha. Natasha was responsible for writing a lot of his movies. Here's where Natasha got her inspiration for a lot of his films. Every night, Valentino's wife, Natasha, would hold a seance, calling forth from the spirit world in her creative undertaking. And then with pencil and paper in hand, she would go into a trance and start writing. This is known as automated writing in the occult world. After her outpourings were typed up, they were brought to the set the next day and given to the director. And these are the movies that would be made. So she would go and have a seance, do some automated writing by demonic possession, she'd type them up, go hand them to the director, and this is the types of movies that were made. You got to remember, when America was founded, we were founded on deep religious moral values. Very deep religious moral values. Very hard for Satan to unlock. But you see, what Satan has that you and I don't have is he's got a lot of time. His time is definitely getting shorter, but he can spread this thing out for 100 and so years. Where we can't. So I'm going to start to show you how he's going to start to unlock each one of these moral values and break down the value system as we get to today. So here is one of Valentino's movies, and what was considered to be sinful, which was sex outside of a marriage, was now starting to be redefined, and now people started to look at this as trendy and, ooh, this is exciting. And so almost overnight, they started changing the way people viewed sex. Mae West now hits the scene a little bit later. Now, Mae West was known as a one-woman sexual revolution. She single-handedly, through her movies, changed the way that men saw their role in their relationship with women, and also women, how they were treated inside of a relationship. So here's some clips from some of her movies, and here's what she had to contribute to this scene.
1930s, motion pictures were one of the mainstays of the Great Depression, and attendance to movie theaters skyrocketed.
Hello, folks. I wish you were up here at Mr. Grauman's Beautiful Theater to see the grand opening of premiere of my new picture, I'm No Angel. Of course, I didn't call it I'm No Angel for nothing. Don't forget, come up and see me sometime.
Movie star Mae West was also known as the Queen of Sex and the Statue of Libido. Her work helped to topple the biblical sexual boundaries that were deeply embedded in the people of the early 20th century.
She can have a romance with somebody outside of wedlock.
I've got another man in my life.
It was pretty raw.
I don't know how many that makes.
It was pretty raunchy for that era.
Well, when I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
No star had greater impact in the long run than Mae West. Mae West was a one-woman sexual revolution.
Now, here's where Mae West got a lot of her inspiration in writing these stories. Mae West was very much so a part of writing her own content for her movies. Her psychic, Kenny Kingston, reflects on her life and says that when she was upset and no one had been able to come up with a script idea, she'd walked about the room saying, "Forces, forces, come to me and help me write a script." And then she would begin to hear voices and images. And as the plot was revealed to her, May would summon stenographers to work with her around the clock, and she would lie in bed in a trance-like state, dictating as the spirits entered her. Once again, automative writing in the occult world. Now, if you look at May's movies, it's not very hard of a stretch to understand where that inspiration comes from. Mae West, I'm No Angel, a sensational Mae West. Her movies were about horrible things that were like extremely risque at this period in our American society. Then Marilyn Monroe hits the scene. Now, is there anybody in this room who does not know who Marilyn Monroe is? Anybody? One person? Marilyn Monroe is known as one of the most famous women in our day and age. More people know who this person is than you could even imagine a name of a whole list of other people. The impact that she made on our society is tremendous. And what did she actually bring to the table? So, I'm going to show you some clips and things, and we'll discuss them afterwards.
7-year itch blew the lid off 1950s conservatism.
Hey, wait a minute!
It shocked audiences with its irreverent look at marital infidelity.
I mean, I wouldn't be lying on the floor in the middle of the night in some man's apartment drinking champagne if he wasn't married.
And showcased Marilyn Monroe in her most sexually suggestive role to date.
Let me just go put something on. I'll go into the kitchen and get dressed.
The kitchen?
Yes, when it's hot like this, you know what I do? I keep my undies in the icebox.
She was the sexual icon of her particular time and became, I think, the sex star of the century.
She could make you do anything in the world from that big screen.
That what has Marilyn Monroe got that a million other women have and prefer not to show?
Well, it's pretty vulgar if you ask me.
I have a message for your wife.
You can see those early signs of changing values.
I'd like to stay here with you tonight. I'd like to sleep here.
I think it's very nice, but I'd rather it were me.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Very nice. Some girl.
Monroe attributed her ability to affect the public to other entities that would inhabit her and take her over. She was known for entering into deep trances before each scene. One of Monroe's close personal psychics recalled how she would draw attention from the spirit world, asking for their guidance.
When she saw a camera, any camera, she lit up and was totally different. The moment the shot was over, she fell back into her not very interesting position. And I don't know how to explain that.
So here Marilyn Monroe was open even about entering into trances before she would go into a scene. And like this man right here says, look, she wasn't like that in real life. All of a sudden she'd get a camera flipped onto her and she would be this just amazing star, and you take the camera away and she wasn't the same person. How do you explain that? Well, if she's involved in spirit worship, and if you watch one of her documentaries that's all about her life, she was a tortured soul, lived a horrible life, completely addicted to everything, trying to hide what she was doing to America. Here's what she was quoted saying: "Jacqueline Hyde, more than two. I'm so many people, they shock me sometimes. I wish it was just me." And in fact, if you look at some of her movies, Don't Bother to Knock, a wicked sensation of the lonely girl in room 809. It's dedicated to the new Monroe doctrine, Let's Make Love. I mean, they're horrible things, once again, in a time frame that was starting to unlock the moral values. Just like filthy Mr. Hugh Hefner says, she started to unlock the moral values of the society. Now, of course, we don't even bat an eye. We're so bombarded by sexual content. Original sin, it says right here, lead us into temptation. We even make comedies about it. Zach and Miri make a porno. Sex drive, he's leaving virgin territory. I mean, these are things that now is just commonplace, and kids all watch these things. Why? Why is our sexuality being so attacked? In fact, I'm going to show a clip of Hollywood targeting movies. There's a movie that came out called American Pie when I was a teenager. I don't know if a lot of you in this room had even heard of this movie before. But this was a very, very popular movie, all dealing with teenage sex. Basically, just get rid of it is what they were saying. There's something about your first piece is the tagline at the bottom. Now, I'm going to show you a news clip where the news people went around and asked a bunch of kids that saw this movie what their favorite part was.